Hello everyone, and welcome back to Crafted Creations. Today we're going to go ahead and make a custom Laura Kinney X-23 movie edition figure using this old Toy Biz Marvel Legends X-23 and this newer Hasbro Marvel Legends America Chavez. In order to do this, we're going to need to do some kit bashing here, so we're going to first want to take these two figures apart using our boil and pop method. You can catch the link to that video on the page down below. Now, we're not going to need the arms from America Chavez. Here, I wasn't too sure which body I wanted to use. I think we're going to pretty much use the America Chavez body for most of the figure. Looking at the pegs between the Toy Biz edition and the Hasbro edition, the pegs do fit perfectly, but the legs are not even close to the same size. So I could go ahead and swap these legs, but I'd need to bulk up using some Sculpting quite a bit. So we're going to come up with a solution here. Now with the arms here with the pinless joints, what a solution that I've found to make customizing easier, go ahead and just shove an X-Acto knife in one side of the joint. Once you slice that pin from the inside, you can go ahead and use a screwdriver to just pop that joint out. This allows you to keep the articulation of the figure, but still be able to mix and match parts like you would the old pinned joints. Just gotta slice a little bit more into this one, and it'll just work its way off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the pins here for the America Chavez, and we're gonna swap that out with the X-23 arms, so that way the X-23 Toy Biz arms will go ahead and plug into the Hasbro Marvel Legends figure here. Same thing, just go ahead and slice one side, and that'll allow you to pull the pin right out. Now the pin on the Toy Biz one is a little bit thicker, so we're probably going to either shave down that pin, or easiest solution would be to just Dremel a bigger hole. So take our Dremel here. I'm just going to make that hole a little bit wider. Now, the range of motion on the Toy Biz arms too, the pin is a little bit deeper, so we're going to need to shave a little bit on the inside and dig a slightly deeper trench in the Toy Biz arm, so that way it'll allow movement. Because we're going to go ahead and create our own pins here in a little bit just to hold that arm in place. That way you can still maintain full posability of this figure. So here I'm going to dig out that trench a little bit. That allows it to fit nice and neat. And in order to keep it in place so that we can go ahead and fully pose this, I'm going to take a nail. Yes, shaky camera there while I pound the nail in place. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nail all the way through the arm till it goes out the other side, so that way it'll hold that pin in place. What we're going to do is we're going to wire snip the nail off, and then in order to hide that, we're going to go ahead and Sculpey the tops of the sleeves over. So there we go. Yep, that arm went flying. I do suggest wearing safety glasses whenever you are doing wire snips or cutting nails, as the metal pieces do tend to like to fly all over the place, as well as your figure, as you saw there just a second ago. So now that we have a pinned arm, just need to Dremel a slight bit there so that that'll fit in nice and neat. There we go. It's starting to come together here. And don't worry about the pins, we're going to go ahead and Sculpey over that. And here, when I was making this figure, I did not like the amount of Sculpey I was going to have to use on this build. I try to steer away from that unless I'm making a completely new sculpt or a head of some sort. So what I decided to do here, instead of building up the thighs and keeping the X-23 Hasbro legs, we're going to go ahead and swap back to the America Chavez legs, and I'm going to go ahead and just cut the boots off of the Hasbro Marvel Legends right down below the double knee, And then what we're going to do on the America Chavez figure, we're going to cut right below the knee joint there as well and just super glue the X-23 boots onto the America Chavez. What I did for reference is I kept an eye on how tall the boot was, so that way I didn't add any extra artificial height to the figure, because we do want her to stay shorter than the Wolverine and Deadpool figure. So what I did is I just measured the foot from the bottom, and I took a look at where the top of the boot goes in conjunction with America Chavez's leg. And once I had a pretty good idea of where to cut, we're going to go ahead and slice that right off. Now the nice part about this is the boot, obviously you're going to have a seam for the boot, so that makes an easy cut here. And in order to hide the fact that these are from two totally different figures, when I cut into the America Chavez leg, I'm going to cut at a point that goes right through the seams there, so that seams blend the boot where the boot and the pants meet. I did forget to hit record when I did that part of the video, but as you can see off to the right, I just super glued those straight down. Here I'm just slicing the collar off of America Chavez denim jacket. I just put slight pressure there. You don't want to slice too much or it'll rip that plastic away. There we go. So that'll do. We got a nice clean seam there. Just clean up the edges a little bit. Alright. So now we're going to go ahead and start painting the vest. We're going to go ahead and use our apple barrel black. And we're going to go ahead and get some elephant gray ready there for the legs. And the vest is going to probably require 2 or 3 coats just so that that blue doesn't shine through. And you want to make sure that you do have a wet brush and water down your paints, so that way you don't get any clumps or line smears from the paint. Having a wet brush will keep your paint malleable and allow that to pretty much just settle to a smooth, flat surface. You might get a little bit of that under plastic shining through on the first coat. Don't worry, just once you add a second or third layer, that'll just disappear. You'll have a nice, even, smooth coat of black paint there. Just go ahead and keep working on this. And as I mentioned before in some of my other videos, I do have a mini fan set up here off camera. That's allowing the paint to dry a little bit faster. The footage here is also at 200% speed, so it does appear to be drying faster anyways, but just a pro tip, if you are trying to get a project done and you want to eliminate some of that downtime in between coats of paint, get yourself a little mini USB fan. The only thing you have to worry about with those is just making sure that you keep the aim away from your palette, otherwise it's going to dry up all your palette paints there and just make things more difficult just as much as they make it easy. So here we're going to start mixing some of our gray for the pants. Now since there's a dark color on the pants, we're going to go one slight shade lighter, because the dark from the original color figure is going to show through the first coat. And if you add small watered down layers. It'll give it a more blended effect. In this case, I want the pants to look slightly distressed. So slight color variations between the dark gray and the light is going to be fine because it'll just make the pants look worn a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the gray all the way past the boot because we're going to eliminate the purple from the old Hasbro Marvel Legends figure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gray almost as like a primer coat over those boots. While that's drying, we'll go ahead and start working on the t-shirt here. Same thing, I went with one tiny little bit darker since we have a light undercoat. And paints tend to dry slightly darker anyways once the water's evaporated out of the paint. So I didn't want to go too crazy. We can always do a little bit of dry brushing over the shirt as well, or just add a wash to darken that up or brighten it up, however we want to go. But that's looking pretty good. Compared this to some reference photos from the film. We're going to go ahead and use this same gray for the shirt and just start darkening up the boots here. Once we're done adding the base coat to the boots, we're going to go ahead and add the black detailing for the straps and the sole of the boot. Alright, so let's add some of that detailing here. Go ahead and paint all the straps. As you see, I'm using a very thin brush. Whenever you're customizing, always come prepared with different size brushes. Didn't have a ton of small details on this one, but for the line work on the straps and the boot and on the sole, definitely wanted to bust out this fine-haired brush. That makes it easier to work quite a bit faster without having to skip or get outside the lines there. So that's looking pretty good. Now let's go ahead and work on the wristbands here, the wrist straps. The Marvel Legends one has a design that just goes past the back of the hand, but looking at reference photos from the film, Laura's wristbands go across the palm of her hand, so we're just going to add a couple lines to make it look like that wrap goes all the way through her fist. Do the same thing on the other side here. And also in doing so, that allowed me to cover this pinned wrist joint, so that helps that blend in with the figure quite a bit more. So I just painted right over that. And then any little spots that you miss, I use these fine little sanding brushes here. These little hobby sanders. Helps with the line work. I did forget to record the slide process, but I did use a clear water slide. Shout out to Big Bendu and a few guys on the Out of the Basement Discord. They put me on the hunt for this logo. I couldn't decipher what it was, but Big Bendu over at the Out of the Basement Discord, great guy. He sent me a Google image link, and I was able to print out a water slide to put on this t-shirt, so we can get a totally movie accurate look here without me having to paint. I'll do a video on the water slides later. I didn't realize that there's actually two types of water slides. There are clear and there are white. I mistakenly used a clear water slide, and being that there's white lettering, I had to paint white on the figure's shirt below where I applied the water slide. Once I got the water slide on there, I used some Mr. Super Clear clear coat to adhere it to the chest of the figure, and then went back in, painted over some of the lines so that that doesn't look like it's a sticker. It looks like it's just a printed on part of the shirt. So here we just finished up adding the Sculpey layers. To cure the Sculpey, I went ahead and soaked those in boiling hot water for a few minutes. That hardens them up, doesn't risk damaging your figure. So now that that's hardened and sculpted, we're going to go ahead and finish painting those, that same gray that we used for the rest of the shirt of the figure. Let's go ahead and get the line work there. And we're getting into the home stretch now. Now, I did put this video on pause for a little bit because I did not have the parts needed to complete it. I was missing the most important part, the head for the figure. And while I was on vacation out in California, I had to stop by Frank & Son's Collectibles show. We went there this past Saturday, and I picked up a Marvel Legends X-23 that came with an alternate head that we're going to go ahead and use for this custom X-23 movie figure. Couldn't really find any good 3D sculpts for Daphne Keene, but she does have very similar features to the sculpt for this head. So this would definitely do, but we're going to take things one step further. Had this pair of sunglasses that I had an idea to make the glasses from the film Logan that she uses in Deadpool 3. So I went ahead and made some Sculpey glasses. We're going to go ahead and take the pin from this pair and we're going to super glue it to the sculpted pair that I made. And then we're going to go ahead and paint this up so that she has her Logan glasses. Now, the ball joint for the head didn't fit, so one thing I usually do if I'm being lazy and I don't want to make a new joint, you can use some Sculpey to just stick the head on there, kind of like a sticky tack. But another solution that I found is you can also just sculpt your own pegs that sit on top. So what I did is I smushed some Sculpey into both of the holes. We're going to take the X-Acto knife and drop that out so it maintains its form. And then I'm going to go ahead and boil that for a few minutes. That's going to harden up so that way when you sit the head on top of the neck, it will hold in place and also allow you to turn that right and left. Here for the shades, we're going to go ahead and add the pink outline for the frame. Put the black layer down first so that way it'll act as the lenses, and we're just going to paint the frame on top of that. Looking at the photos, it used a couple different shades. We're using magenta, we're going to use this light turquoise blue, and we're going to use the pink polish there. So I'm just going to add a couple little polka dots of the random colors here to kind of recreate that design from the film. And now that that Sculpey peg is hardened, let's go ahead and put that on the neck there. And there you have it, folks. Here is our custom Marvel Legends Laura Kinney X-23 from the Deadpool and Wolverine film. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to sharing more of my crafted creations later on down the road. If you did enjoy this and like to see more content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel down below. And as always, folks, stay crafty.